So this video is all about Horus. Horus, the sun god. He is the god of the stars, god of the sky, a visionary, a hero. He also emanates love, harmony, balance, because he's the child of Isis and Osiris. There's so much I could speak about with Horus. Ultimately, when he comes into my space, straight away, it's like step up into leadership. Know your strengths, know your power, leadership through love, leadership through integrity. You know what I mean? Order, balance, leadership through ma'at. Okay. So live by ma'at, you know, and Horus, like he had a very, very challenging life, you know, stepping into the role and his destiny. Horus can be actually, compared, if not reflected back to Jesus. They, like Mother Mary and Isis, are very similar. They're the same. Horus and Yeshua are the same as well, because they both had very, very challenging upbringings. Their birth was for a reason. He had to regain Egypt and bring justice and order and balance and you know, all of the above to his father's murder, Osiris, because Set, you probably know the story, but for those that don't know, Set, his uncle, murdered his father, Osiris. And of course, when he was born, he was basically conditioned, trained, brought forth to be the rightful seat of the throne, to lead the people through love. That is why his name is Horus, Heru, which means hero, and he's like a leader, very powerful leader. So he's a very, very powerful medicine to work with when you need to step into those leadership skills, but through love and integrity, not through anger or controlling and bitterness, which I'm going to talk about that now. Going to flash forward to what his the crescendo of his life. So of course, like Yeshua, you know, he had lots of conditionings, lots of learnings that he had to walk through, lots of initiations in his life, just like us, going through, like, you know, purging the anger and just trying to keep centered and heart space, when all he wanted to do is just go and murder his brother, his uncle Set, for murdering his father. But what actually happened, eventually they had a massive, like, they went to war, they had a massive fight. And that is where Horus's eye got damaged, which is where the eye of Horus comes from, right? So we have the right eye of Ra and the left eye of Horus, okay? But like, you can call them both the eyes of Horus, whatever. The left eye is the lunar, is the moon, and the right eye is the sun. And that is the divine balance, that is harmony. So when I work with Horus, he very much works with these left eye, right eye. That's the balance, that's the harmony, activating the third eye, because he's a visionary, because he's a falcon, because he's a hawk, you know? So he has that vision. So for me, and he takes me all the way up to the stars to actually see from the highest points. And like I've said in previous videos, I believe that we are all meant to be plugging into the highest vibration, the original source codes of ourselves through these gods and goddesses. Don't take my word for it. Don't take the books of text from the mythologists. You know, have it as a guideline to help you work with these frequencies. Go into the heart, call on Horus, and he will show you what your truth is in regard to his frequency and the relationship that he has with you and why. So like I say, this is all about your truth, your frequency, your vibration, and how you work with these gods and goddesses for your mission, which will be completely different to mine. But we all need like a base layer for to work with, to be able to have a jump off to enter into their frequency. So I always give a very powerful umbrella on, like, well, this is leadership, you know what I mean? So we all here as way showers, conscious creators, and here to do big work to anchor New Earth and the golden age and New Atlantis, right? So this is where these gods and goddesses have come in to help us. So use it as a jump off, but then trust, enter into your own frequency to do with the star codes of this being, right? He will show you, he will connect with you. He will ultimately activate his frequency within you, which will merge with your blueprint, which will then unlock certain ways to work with him, which again will be different to me, to the next person, all the rest of it. So with Horus, you know, the people loved him, because when he had his fight, this war with his uncle, and his eye got damaged, anybody that was obviously in so much pain that his father had been murdered and he was to avenge his death, like anybody would have just captured that person, his uncle, and murdered him on the spot. But he didn't. He held himself together for long enough to bring him, Set, his uncle, the murderer of his father, to bring him to the council, the spiritual council, and they dealt with him. And he did that. And he did that. And he was, and that's where a lot of his respect came from the people, that he was able to hold himself in integrity and do the right thing. Many wouldn't. And if he had murdered his uncle, well, we kind of wouldn't have blamed him. Do you know what I mean? But that was one of the aspects of like how he showed his strengths, you know. And of course, his whole life, Isis was training him. That's the best way to describe it. She was conditioning him, preparing him for what he had to do, right? And then lead the people, take the throne. No different to Mother Mary, who conditioned, trained, initiated, helped Jesus, held the space for him to find himself, so he could actually go onto the cross and fulfill his mission, complete in his mission. So you will definitely see there's a cross-pollination in all the gods and goddesses, actually. Even if you take it into like the Indian culture, into Sekhmet and Kali, you know, that they're all the same but one, you know. So there's a lot of correlation that you'll find as you work with these gods and goddesses. So you know what, don't sweat it, just allow it all to come into oneness, wisdom, because at the end of the day, it is all one consciousness, right? So Horus, again, like a vision, he's a visionary, you know what I mean? If you want to see above things and you want to see right out there, Horus, for me, if I needed to activate anything that's third eye related or anything like that, or download anything, or just get that highest perspective, Horus is my guy. But like I say, most of all, he has held the space for me to step into my integrity as a teacher, a way shower, and a leader, because like I had to bring together the tablets of light tour, and that took a lot of courage. It still does now, to hold such a space. I'm never ever at a point where I'm like, oh, I've made it. I'm always humbled by the power and the strength of this frequency that you hold when it comes to Egypt. And you'll find the same with your conscious creations. You're always humbled, because when you're working in heart, you're always expanding to go on to that next level. You never arrive, because if you think that you've arrived, then of course you're in your ego a little bit, you know what I mean? Meaning your mind, because there's no getting there. So I believe that Horus helps us just keep it expanded and infinite, and just keeps those codes and energies going, and reminds us to leadership through love, you know. So now I'm going to talk a little bit about his connection with Hathor, because as I'll be teaching through Egypt, and obviously online and everything like that, you know, we're at a stage now where a lot of us were just working singularly with the goddesses, working on our divine feminine woundings or shadow. Then we were just working with the divine masculine. But now what's happening is we're coming into union. The divine feminines like Hathor, Isis, and Sekhmet, say they're now being joined by their sacred counterparts. So for Hathor, her sacred counterpart is Horus. They had a beautiful love affair. You know, they are the ones that go together. In fact, she healed his eye through love. And when you go to the Horus temple, those of you that have been, you saw that beautiful birthing chamber just as you walk in honor of Hathor. And when I connect with that huge courtyard, that huge expansive place, in my mind's eye, I always see them dancing together, you know, like swirling around. And it's actually quite beautiful. And that is kind of like the divine masculine and feminine balance. They are, Horus and Hathor are a very, very powerful mirror, reflection, image of what it is to have divine masculine, divine feminine, because he had to go to war, but Hathor's very unconditional love and brought the softness. So you see, same with Isis. Isis had to do some very, very strong, powerful things, like go and live in the reeds while she was pregnant with Horus, trying not to get like sought out by her brother Set, murdered as well. She had a job to do. She had a divine plan. She had to bring Horus into gestation, birth him with the help of her sister Nephthys, and bring him up quietly off the radar, so nobody came and murdered Horus or Isis. She had to keep that really, really on the down low to get him to a certain age to be able to go and avenge the death and then get on the throne. That was a huge thing. So Isis reminds me very much of Mother Mary and Anna, grandmother of Jesus, because of the investment of the huge job of the divine plan, what was needed to be brought forward to birth Horus, okay, and to bring his mission into fulfillment. You know what I mean? So it really is very expansive once you step back and look at the bigger picture of all of this, which is essentially your mission and purpose as well of all of your lifetimes. You know what I mean? So they are a divine reflection of us. We mustn't forget that, you know? So now just talking a little bit about Osiris and Isis. Now they are twin flames. Okay. So I'm going to talk more about the dismembering and then the remembering to do with Horus and Isis in the other videos. But just to kind of like square it off, well, rather triangle it off here actually with the twin flame triad. So a twin flame triad, everything comes in threes, everything. Not unusual that you will work with the gods and goddesses and you'll arrive at three that you're just working with. Mine is a triple goddess. So I'm looking at my altar here. We have Isis, Hathor, and Sekhmet in the middle. So you will have like a triple goddess or a triple god vibe going on. You know what I mean? So the power of three is very, very, very strong, right? So now with Isis and Osiris, she came into union with him because he was dismembered, cut into 14 parts. She went and collected his body parts. She remembered him, which is why this is very significant for our journey, because she's soul retrieval. She's very powerful in soul retrieval, bringing her husband back together. So they were able to come into union. Okay. So they came into union. And isn't it interesting? Because he never incarnated into physical form. He was on the other side, but she was here in physical form, yet they were still in union. That's a whole nother video. But anyway, that can happen. And now, as a result of that, because they came into that union, their divine love child was Horus. And that is why Horus is the reflection, because they're the twin flame triad. They are Isis, Osiris, Horus. He is the reflection of harmony and balance because of their love, because of their unity, because of their oneness. And that is the twin flame understanding that when you come into union, no shadow in the feminine, no shadow in the masculine, happy to be together. And then the result of that is basically you being reborn into harmony and balance. And that is where you arrive at Horus, who will show you harmony and balance. So he's a very, very powerful energy to work with. And I'm sure, no doubt, as soon as you start to work further with him, you'll get even more than what I've shared with you. But open your heart, open your eye, and receive him and all of his magic and wisdom. And if you've already been to Egypt, I invite you to dive back in, start working with him again. And if you're about to go to Egypt, I invite you, dive in, start working with him. So this is Horus.